G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. So in this video I'm going to look at doing a battery. Got a bunch of batteries come in, seem to have an okay reviews to them, and they were fairly well priced, so I thought I'd give them a shot. Yeah, I'm going to make a 4-cell 2P pack. These are a 4200 milliamp battery for high drain devices. Supposed to put out 40 amps output. Tested that, so I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and make them. I'm not into testing the batteries for their total accuracy. It's not a Samsung battery or anything like that, but I do want to try it and just give it a go. These are 21700 batteries, and like I said, I'm going to make them in two in parallel, so it's going to be a 4-cell 8400 mAh battery, so we're doubling up in capacity. What you're going to need anyway if you're attempting to do this, and by the way, if you are going to attempt to do this, do it at your own risk, and I wouldn't attempt to do it if I wasn't confident in my own sort of ways of doing it, because you can cause a fire if it's done incorrectly, and you don't want that. So don't do it unless you're 100% confident with your own skills in soldering, spot welding, and just in general makeup of the battery itself, so you don't get anything around the wrong way. But what you will need, other than your batteries, I've got 8 batteries here. Like I say, I'm going to be making a 4-cell 2 parallel battery, so that's 8400, so I need 8 batteries for that. You're going to need your heat shrink to cover the battery in the end. Obviously a spot welder. I bought this one off Ali. It's not a bad one. You want some nickel plating metal to go across the batteries, and you want your balance cable as well. Follow step by step very carefully if you're going to do this, because I'm not responsible for anyone's house being burnt down or anything like that. Prepped up some of my plating, nickel plating here, so you will need 8 of these as well, and I've rounded off the edge to minimize any sharp edges as well, to minimize anything that cuts through any wiring once the battery's built. Follow along closely guys if you want to do this, but do it at your own risk. Oh, and I forgot, you will also need some cabling too. I've got some cabling here. It's high voltage or high amperage cabling. It's a bit thick for my liking, but you want at least 12 gauge for that. And of course your XT60 or XT90, whatever you want. XT60s I'm using for your battery plug. It's also recommended to get yourself an amps clamp or a multimeter. What we want to do is check every individual cell just to make sure, one, we're using decent cells and not dead. One's not dead on arrival, so I want to check the consistency on each of these cells before we do any assembling. So we're going to test every individual cell here just to make sure we've got decent cells that have got something on them. So we'll start with this one here. 4.08, so it's up a little bit higher than I would have thought. 4.07, 4.08, 4.09, 4.08, 4.09, 4.08, and 4.07, so they're all between 4.07 and 4.09. A bit surprised that they came at that voltage and not at your storage voltage of 3.7. Alright, so I've just hot glued these together as in pairs. So we've got 4 pairs now, so effectively we've got 4 cells. So this pair now becomes 1 cell at 8400 milliamps. So positives all together at the top, and I've got all my negatives down here at this stage. So I'm just going to flip them over and I'll do the other side as well. We'll just throw a bit of hot glue in there to keep everything together. So that's our 4 cells. That's our 4 8400 milliamp cells. Okay, so by now you should have prepped up and you should have 8 nickel plates. We're going to spot weld these over the tops of both positives. I've done one already here, and then I'm going to flip it over now that my glue's dried, and I'm going to put the same on the negatives. This is a spot welder I'm using. It's just a spot welder I bought off AliExpress. I've done a few batteries with it. It's okay, it's not great, but it does do the job. So that's one cell, one 8400 milliamp cell. So now we're going to do the same to the rest of these, so we'll end up with 4 cells at 8400 milliamps. So that's our four cells all done now. We've got 4 8400 milliamp cells. So next step, what we're going to do now is sort them in the right order and prep them up ready for the wiring of the balance plug. So the way I'm going to do this, we're going to go negative here, positive here, negative here, positive here. To get this the way I want to do it, we're going to have to do some connecting here and connecting across these. So the way it's going to be done is when it's all connected up, I'll be folding these ones up just like that, and the battery will be set up like that. But before we do that, we're going to have to solder on some balance leads as well, because we can't obviously get to that a bit later on once this is all up. So we need to do the prep work now for the balance leads. So with this orientation of how the batteries are going to be set up, I'm going to take this one away and we're going to work with this one here. We're basically treating them both as 2 separate 4 cells now. So next what we want to do here now is we're going to make these into like a square. So we're going to go across each end here of each of these and spot weld 2 nickel plates in the opposite direction to create a square as shown in the video. Okay, after that's all done, that's what you end up with. Okay, so we flipped the pack over in 2 packs. Just be careful not to short anything. And now what we want to do is put a bridge between here and there. So you should end up with something like that. Okay, we just check, make sure our connections are okay. Don't short anything. Everything feels good. Okay, so next I'm going to solder where my balance cables are going to go. So I'm going to put a solder point in between these 2 positives here and also these 2 positives here. And then what we'll do, we'll flip it up and then we'll put a solder here on this positive and this solder here on this negative. And I almost forgot, we need one more right here for the balance port. Right, so because this will be the bottom of the battery here, these 4, because as we turn it up this way, the plan is to fold this up here, kind of like that. So what I'll do now, I think I'll make up the balance cable. I'm going to have to join some wires because my cables that I bought are too short for a battery that tall, so I'm going to have to extend some of these cables here. So one way of checking which point your balance lead goes from or goes to. Alright, so we're going to work from the ground. So we would have 1 cell here, 2 cell here, 3 cell here, and then that'll be the 4th, which will give the 16 volts. This is where you need to take a little bit of care, so you must have a multimeter as well. So effectively the bottom of the battery is down the bottom here, these 2 in the middle, because that's coming up. So this will be our top of the battery here, That'll be our negative top, and there's our positive top on the other side. I'll stick the negative probe under that. Let me just reset this. I'll set the negative probe under here. Now this should be one cell, 4.09, which it is. If we go across to this one here, that should be our third cell. Go across, 12.24. So that's our third cell there. Now if we flip this over, we've got our negative here. So this will be the full charge of the battery here of 16, should be. There it is, 16.3. So that's the full charge of the 4-cell battery. So this one here would be our 8.16. So that's cell 2. So that's cell number 2 there. Cell number 3 at the back, and there's cell number 4 there. So let's just poke this one through. Needs to be tucked down through the middle here. This is the bottom of the battery, remember? Come through there like that. Alright, so you got 3 in total coming up now. As far as I know, we're right now to lift our battery up. So then that will go up here. Be careful, these are all live. These are all live as well, remember? That's basically the battery there. So what we might end up doing is hot gluing this. We've still got balance cables to go on either one of these. And also our main XT60 wire as well. We'll take a volt reading on both this pack. It should be a full 16 volt pack. Reading from here to there. And we've got 16.3, so we know everything's good and correct. Alright, so we'll hot glue all this into position now. Just remember, all your wires here are live, so don't go cutting anything at the end here. Keep all the plastic covering the wires until the very end here, just to save anything from shorting out. Right, it's starting to take a bit of shape here now. We're not far from the end. Now what I want to do is connect up our positive balance to here, and then our negative balance to here. So that's the 2 end wires we're dealing with now. That's those 2 there. Alright, that's our positive and negative. So now we just got to work out which wire goes to these, and like I said before, we'll do that using our voltage on our multimeter. So going from the ground on the balance plug, the very next black wire in will be your lowest voltage. What I need to do is work out which is which here. And to do that, we're going to have to shear off one of these. And go to our ground. Not real easy, but 12.2. So that's our third cable. Typical at times like this, I've got no tape, so I'm just going to use these just so they don't get in the way. So that's 3. That's it there, 4.09. That's our first plug we need. So perfect. So that will go on to the second wire in, or from the ground. Should put a shrink wrap over that one. I wouldn't recommend doing this if you're not confident at all, and if you don't have a multimeter, don't even attempt it, because it's a fiddly job, no doubt about it. But it isn't a bad thing to do. It's fun to do. Just got to be very careful and double check all your connections, because you don't want a battery to fail mid-flight. You don't want to fire mid-flight because you've had something come off. That we know, that's our 12. So this other one here has to be number 2. that's that one there. I'll just get the length for it. Let's cut that one to length. I enjoy building things. That's why I wanted to take this route on and just try and build myself some batteries. It is cheaper, most definitely, especially if you buy your batteries in bulk. It's definitely cheaper. Heat shrink again. Alright, one more to go, which is the one we've just got out of the way here with a bit of don't forget your heat shrink, guys. Nothing worse than soldering something up and then realising you forgot to put your heat shrink on. Rightio, that's that one. And then we can test the battery and just make sure everything is correct with that balance port, which should be after testing it all. What I'll do, let's check the balance port using the balance plug. Put your positive in there and it should be 4.7 or 4.8. The next one along will take it up to 8 point something, 8.1. Next one along will be 12 point something. And then we got the full 4 cells. So there we go there. So cell 1, 2, 3 and 4. Just like that. What I might do is hot glue this, because I don't want anything rubbing on these metal strips at all, because that could end up possibly causing a short, which I don't want to risk. Plus, putting some hot glue over this is going to help support the solder too, the solder joints. So that's not a bad option to do. I think I'll put plenty of hot glue over the top here and there. Let that one set and then we'll come back. Alright, XT60 plug is on. So when you do them, always plug the 2 ends in like that when you solder the cables on. If you don't plug this in when you solder it, you'll find all this will melt. And especially on these ones, when you're soldering these to the flight controller or ESC, whatever, always plug them together and you'll have a much better result. So final stage now of this battery is just to connect these up, positive and negative like that. I've sanded these just to roughen up the edge a bit, and we will add a bit of flux onto that. When you're doing this too, don't leave your soldering iron tip on for too long. Held alright. Wasn't real happy with that negative one, but seems to be on there pretty well. What I might do is test the voltage at the end of the XT60. And we've got 16.3 volts. So that's pretty much it. What I might do now, we'll shrink wrap that and call it a night, and then we'll attempt to do a balance charge on it and just monitor it for a bit. Not going to go crazy with it yet because it is the first one of these batteries that I've built. I'm pretty happy with it, but I mean there's certain things I could have done better, of course, but in all it seems pretty solid. I am going to run some more hot glue over the main power lead just to reinforce that so that doesn't pop off. But I've also protected the bottom of it as well with some of the stickers that you put on the bottom of the battery terminals. So there we go, all in all, it looks like a stick of dynamite. So the final stages of our battery now is to put the heat shrink over it. This is 90mm heat shrink. So I've just cut this one from the top, just giving it a little bit of overhang there. Should cover the bottom a bit. I've also cover the bottom with some black tape I might put a bit of black tape over the top of that too to tidy that up. I'll get the heat gun out and we will heat shrink that. And there we go. That's one 4-cell 8400 milliamp lithium ion battery. Hope you enjoyed the little video on this battery and how to make it. I hope it helped some people. It's certainly a good reference for me. I'll be using it if I need to make another one of these. That was my main purpose, so hopefully it lasts. I think next time I do this I can do better than this. It's not a bad first effort. So yeah, next step is to fly it. It's going to be maidened in the remaiden of the Zod Dart XL when that comes up next. Until then guys, stay safe, keep on with the hobby, keep doing it indoors and out. We'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.